Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. Our guest today is Kimberley Milousis. Kimberley is a former CPA tax specialist turned natural health entrepreneur and abundance coach. Her passion for educating people on natural health solutions has led her to serving customers in 42 countries. Kimberley helps them find effective solutions leading to powerful health breakthroughs. And we all need good health now, don't we? In her coaching work, Kimberley focuses on empowering people to create abundance in their mind, body, finances, and spiritual life. Her 10-week Life More Abundantly course helps people achieve that very thing. Kimberley is also a homeschooling mom and loves swimming, hiking, scuba diving, and gardening. Kimberley loves the water. Welcome to the show, Kimberley Milousis.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm grateful that you are here, and I'm grateful for whoever put us together. This is a great opportunity for my audience to hear you talk about abundance in all areas of life, and especially health, financial health, bodily health. It's just really important. So I have some information here that you are going to talk about the narrative that our culture has when we think things just happen to us, not knowing that we're responsible for them happening, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
And, they might have been buried when we were children, but they're coming up to the surface, and we need help in taking care of them. So how could you help our audience today, Kimberley?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's such a great question, and I'm passionate about this because I have people, like you said, in 42 countries. I think it's maybe 47 countries now who are customers of mine. And so many of them come to me with this question. And the question is usually framed this way. They'll come to me with this laundry list of health issues that they're dealing with. Maybe it's fibromyalgia, diabetes. They're lacking energy. They're not sleeping well. Their hormones out of balance, like eczema, dietary issues, digestion issues, like you name it, they've got it. And then they ask me a question because of my business. They'll say, for example, what oil can I use? Because I sell essential oils. What oil can I use? And I think to myself, like, how is it that you think that one oil is going to fix all of that? Like, your oils are awesome, but gosh, you got to think a bit bigger than that, right?
Right.
So I guess when I started writing this Life More Abundantly course, really what I was trying to do is find a way to educate my customers and say, there is a broader answer to that question than just what oil do I use? Because part of the philosophy that we have in North America is that there's a pill for every ill. And then people come into my world, in the natural health world, and they think, okay, well, there must be an oil for every ill. And we joke and say, yes, we've got an oil for that. And we probably do. But the comprehensive solutions are often ignored because they're a little bit more work. But I was trying to educate my customers. There is a solution, but it's not going to come as like a one-button fix. It's going to come and it's available to you and it's accessible to you, but it's going to come by looking at a whole lot of things working together. It's how you think, it's what you eat, it's how you move your body, it's how your relationships are, it's your emotional balance, it's, what's happening in your faith and your vision for the future, your finances, like it all comes together to contribute to this thing called abundance that is absolutely accessible to you, but needs to be addressed very comprehensively.
So what happened in your life to give up being a CPA tax specialist and turn you on to healthcare? Yeah, that gets asked of me a lot. I mean, you did what? I would have people say to me, because it's a little bit crazy to give up a 6-figure income job to pursue what I've been pursuing for the past 8 years.
But I did it for a reason because, I loved my job. I really was grateful. I was a tax specialist. Doesn't sound exciting to a whole lot of people, but believe it or not, I actually enjoyed it because it was complex. It was, complicated. But my passion had always been to help people. My passion had always been to, make people understand that there was something great in them, that they could, become more, that they could do more. And I felt like I was kind of fading away on that dream of helping people as I was sitting behind my office desk, looking out the window where life seemed to be happening on the other side of the window. So I made a bold decision, kind of like you did, to just say, you know what, I'm going for more. I don't know what it looks like, have no idea, but I'm going to start on this journey. And so when I left my office on the last day of work, I wrote on the whiteboard the poem, A Road Less Traveled. And as you probably know, it ends with the words, two roads diverge in a yellow wood. And I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And so that led me into what I then started pursuing, which then became my natural health business. And I'm extremely grateful for that. But I think because of that journey, I'm able to then, not only help people get out, but give people the hope that more is possible.
Well, it's interesting. My main focus is helping people find their true calling. And sometimes it can be aligned with a work, and other times it can be aligned with charity. And the thing that people don't understand is that they are probably living their calling without realizing it, as you were. When you were a tax specialist, it just wasn't manifesting in the way that you were enjoying it anymore.
Exactly.
And sometimes those successful careers that we have, and I had one as well before I shifted into doing self-development work, mine was in real estate, yours was in taxes, and they're called shadow careers. Not that you're shadowing someone else, but this is the career that you're in while you're pedaling along, biding time internally. You're not totally aware of it happening. And then all of a sudden, when you get to the place where you go from being a tax specialist to a natural health entrepreneur, and then now you're very happy and it's all worked out, and you were helping people before and you're still helping people now.
Yeah, that's so true. It's actually kind of funny because the thing I loved most about my job when I was working as a tax specialist were all the things I didn't get paid for, So as a CPA, you have to keep track of your hours, and it's actually in 0.1 of an hour. You have to keep track of it all, and you charge that time.
Right.
But all of the not chargeable time was the time when my staff would come sit in my office and I would help them with, personal issue in their life, or give them encouragement, or speak a word of hope into them, or share a resource with them, or do crazy hack day,
Sure.
Crazy hair day, like just to build up the morale of the team. And none of those things were ever, worth anything from the firm's perspective, but they're the things I loved the most. And I was fulfilling my calling. You're exactly right.
Yeah, we just find ways that the thing of it is we don't always know when we are fulfilling our calling unless somebody reminds us. And, oh, look, you did it then. Oh, I didn't know that. So here you are now. So tell us about your natural health. Tell us about your oils. I mean, talk to us about that. Talk to the audience about the people you deal with and what kind of problems they have and the solutions you have for them. I mean, you touched on it a little bit before, but, go a little deeper.
Yeah. And, I think part of the why, I always say it's important to understand why you do what you do. And part of the why for me in terms of my sharing about natural health has come out of my own journey. So I had a kind of lifelong, it felt like, problem with horrific skin and digestive issues. So if you name the skin issue, I had it. Perioral dermatitis, I had cystic acne, I had hormonal acne, I had, eczema all over my body, really, really bad on my hands, so that I had, I had to suffer with either very itchy, crazy itchy hands or painful hands because I had just scratched the heck out of them and now they're all bleeding. So it was just horrific, right? And this was pretty much every day of my life. And so my journey into the natural health world was kind of prompted by a need to find solutions that I wasn't finding in the regular medical world. They didn't know how to help me, and the things that they were giving to help me were actually making it worse. And so I went on my own natural health journey, even when I was still working in tax. And it was out of that I got a passion for natural health. I started realizing that in order for me to change my skin, it wasn't going to happen just by putting something on my skin. It was going to happen by looking at what I was putting in my mouth and cleaning up my gut. And so like all of that became part of this journey that I then translated into my natural health business. So in my business, I'm what's called a presidential diamond leader in a company called doTERRA. It's an essential oil company. And so what I do is I educate people about how to use essential oils instead of, more harmful alternatives, how to use essential oils, which are plant-based medicine, how to use other natural supplements to bring healing back to themselves. And I love it because there are people like me who've kind of lost hope, who felt like their issue, there was no hope for it. I've had people come to me in tears because their kids are on some drug for being on the spectrum, ADD, ADHD, whatever it is. And they feel hopeless because the symptoms that their kids are experiencing are worse when they're on the drugs in some ways, even though other ones are taken care of, there's other ones that manifest, and to be able to offer that kind of hope to people, it's not just a business that I do because I make money. It's something that I do because I'm so passionate about it. I think the greatest gift that we can give people is that gift of hope.
Absolutely, because when you talk about how you have experienced all these skin-producing issues, people don't realize that the issue is inside. It's manifested outside in order to get our attention. In whatever we may be dealing with, whatever it is, it will manifest in a physical form so that you are looking at what it is, because otherwise God's trying to get our attention.
Yep.
It's like, this is, you have to do something to take care of this. Look in the mirror, look at your foot, look at your leg, whatever it might be. So the solution comes from within. And then you have created a process where you help people on the inside as well as the outside.
Absolutely.
And that's important because we could maybe possibly just put olive oil on our skin and it would help. But you have found a way to get plant-based, which olive oil is, but other plant-based oils to help with their interior issues. And once they discover their inside issues, which is, I'm sure they're amazed, because it's interesting when the door gets flung open and the light comes in and everybody goes, oh, that kind of thing. And then you go, oh my Lord, it's like being free again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the great thing is that I find like you put that power into the hands of someone where they start to see a breakthrough in one area of their life and they're like, oh, I wonder what else I can get breakthrough in. Like, oh, you mean I don't have to just accept that, I'm going to get cancer because my mother did, or I don't have to just accept that arthritis is a normal part of life, so then they start thinking differently and they start feeling empowered. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a beginning of a journey. And I think just being able to put someone on that journey and give them the tools that they need along the way is super powerful.
Yeah, I have a problem with alleged inherited diseases. I just don't buy into that.
Yeah.
When you go to a doctor, now let's talk about your family health care. And no, it doesn't relate. It just doesn't relate. It's easy for them because then the practitioners, the doctors, the physicians, whoever it might be, osteopath, whatever, they have something to fall back on. Because if they can't find out what's wrong with you after giving you all of these pills that are useless stuff, then they go, oh, well, maybe it's because you got this from your mother or your grandparents or something. No, it's me. It's all me. It's inside of me. If you can't help me, I'll go to Kimberley.
That's great. Well, And what you're saying is actually proven by science. So I don't know if you're familiar with the study of epigenetics, but basically that's showing you that your DNA, I mean, they used to believe that you would inherit your DNA and then that was it, right? So you got your DNA. But what they've actually shown is, I can't remember the percentage, but it's something like 85, some high percentage of our DNA is actually mutable or changeable. Mm-hmm. And they're more like switches than they are like fixed positions, right? So some things aren't going to change, like your hair color, your eye color, like those things are fixed. But a lot of our DNA is actually switches. And through our choices, and they show this in study after study after study, through our choices, we can either turn on a switch or turn it off. And so, for example, like maybe you did inherit a predisposition towards skin issues like I did. And so my mom had really bad skin issues. My daughters had really bad skin issues, but I turned that switch off. And literally there's not a part of my skin anywhere on my body that now at 51 years old, I have healthier skin than ever before. And so how did that happen? I turned the switch off that said skin issues, like if,
right.
if really
it's a thought, it's a mindset. And it's embedded in the brain, and then we buy into it, and the road and the path to that negative attitude and negative approach, it gets deeper and deeper unless we go in and say, no, I'm in charge now. This is not going to work for me. I don't buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's choices on how we think. It's choices on what we eat. It's choices on what we put in our body. So like tons of choices. But the good news is that we have the ability to control where that DNA goes over time. And not only do you have the ability to change your DNA, it's what your children will eventually inherit as well. So, it's pretty incredible to think what we're able to create.
Totally. So talk a little bit more about the choices that people can get to make, and then the solutions that may occur, and then how they are faced with another set of choices. Maybe you can reference a previous client that you worked with who you helped them change their mind. I mean, I know you spoke about yourself, but do you have another person you could talk about?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of them I think about is my own sister-in-law. And, she was struggling really, really badly with fibromyalgia, which is one of those mystery diseases, right? Mm-hmm. It's autoimmune. And by the way, for anybody who's got an autoimmune disorder, I'll just say autoimmune is really your own immune system attacking itself. And so one of the key roots to look at for any autoimmune disorder is self-hatred. Anything that you're doing to reject yourself, like that's all important to look at. It's not just a physical, but it's also that emotional, mental side as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my sister-in-law, fibromyalgia, couldn't get off the couch for most of the days. She was constantly in pain, struggled hugely with depression. So she was on antidepressants. The problem is that one of the side effects of the antidepressants was suicidal thoughts, which is entirely unhelpful. So she now became suicidal, now that she was on antidepressants, which is a very awful way to deal with depression.
I know. I watch the commercials on television. I'm going, do you see the side effects of taking this antidepressant, people? It's called death.
Right?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. This is a bit of an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly.
So she got connected, obviously, because of what I do. She got connected with the products, and not just the products, but we started to educate her about her diet and about her, mind choices. And I'll tell you, she's still on a journey. She experienced incredible breakthrough. She got off the couch. She was getting her life back. And then a good friend of hers saw what was happening to her, who had fibromyalgia, did the same thing, and went from not being able to barely move to going back to skiing the next year, or snowboarding rather, and being back into playing baseball on a girls' baseball league. Or I say girls, but it's women's. And she kind of got her life back. And that's because, and it's not a simple, take this pill and you're going to be better.
No.
Through changing the diet, doing the cleansing, dealing with the pain on a natural level. There are things that you can do that are super helpful. It's just cleaning the way that you're thinking, getting your hope back. And then for depression, for my sister-in-law, there's oils that we can use to support, the mind and how it thinks. And certain oils will increase the neurotransmitters, the serotonin in your brain, which is always helpful. Mm-hmm. But then, one of the things that people ignore is that a crummy diet, not only does it affect your body from a pain perspective, increase inflammation, increase skin issues, but you have more neurotransmitters in your gut than in your brain. Mm-hmm. So as you start to clean out your gut, guess what happens? Well, you automatically get a shift, and suddenly this thing that was called depression before, you start realizing it was actually really hugely contributed to by how you were eating and the state of your gut, so we started to see incredible transformation in her and in her friend. And she will tell you to this day that she has good days when she's behaving. So she knows, but at least she knows she's in control of it.
Yeah. I watched a TV show the other day. I think it's called The Good Doctor, and there was a story about a patient who wanted to extend his life, and he did some technical processes to his life, and the doctors were telling him, you could reach the same thing. He wanted to live for 1,000 more years. So the doctors were telling him that he could live for X number of more years if he stopped eating sugar, exercised more, and changed his diet.
Right.
That is pretty much the bottom line of all of it. Because If you certainly watch what you eat, if you're eating badly, you can't exercise because you have no energy. You're lethargic, and then you get depressed, and then you get suicidal. So people need to be aware of how the body and mind work. I want to make sure that everybody who's listening, before I forget, please re-listen to this recording. You have probably listened to it on your phone or through your headphones when you're taking a walk or doing a jog or something, and you don't have your handy little pen and paper with you. Mm-hmm. And it's really important that you connect your pen to your paper, and you're going to have all of these little magical things connecting in your brain. Mm-hmm. And take notes. Take notes on what Kimberley Milousis is telling you, because this is really important. So, Kimberley, how can people find you?
Well, I guess the easiest way is to go to KimberleyMilousis.com, and it's a bit of a mouthful, so should I spell it out?
Sure. I always spell out the website addresses because it's just easier.
Yeah, and my last name's a little bit of a trip for some people, so it's KimberleyMilousis.com. Is
your workbook still going to be on your website?
Yeah, so when people sign up for my course, they have an opportunity to get the workbook, and it's a 10-week course, so it's pretty extensive, and I feel like it's really helpful to have the printed workbook, but you can also just download as you're going through lesson by lesson by lesson. You can download the PDFs through the course, but I find it nice to have that workbook. It's super colorful. It's bright. I just love having the book.
Okay, so then let's go back into recording now. So you can talk about, you've already told them your website address, and now go into the workbook. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kimberley, please talk about the workbook you have on your website.
Yeah, so the workbook comes together with the Life More Abundantly course. It is a 10-week course that will walk people through abundance in 10 key areas of life. And like you said, it starts with food and fitness, like what are you eating, how are you moving your body, and it goes to like how do you deal with your health, like what do you turn to, your physical appearance, how do you feel about how you look. So anyway, 10 key areas that will bring abundance to everyone's life. And the workbook goes along with that. Now, they can actually download the workbook when they're taking the course and just print it out themselves. But I really recommend that they get the printed version. It's so much nicer just to have the book. They pull it open and they can make their notes and do their homework. There's one video every week and 5 days of homework, helping them really work through that area of abundance.
It sounds like an in-depth course, and those are the best, because if it's too superficial, you're not going to take it seriously, and there will be no change, very little change. So if you're accruing positive content over a 10-week period, which is less than 3 months, you're going to do well. Well, I want to thank Kimberley Milousis for being here today, and as I said before, make sure that you re-listen to this podcast and take notes and find friends and pass this on to friends who should really be grateful that you're doing it for them. Give them this gift of Kimberley Milousis information about life more abundantly. I want to thank Kimberley for being here today. It's been a great time, very informative.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it just really good stuff. And I hope people buy your oils, call you up so that you can help them lead healthy lives. I also want to send our listeners to my website at askjoannevictoria.com and sign up for a free copy of The True Self Handbook, A Guide to Transform Your Life. It's a pretty dense book, but you will have a lot of information for a long period of time on how to change your life, because that's what we're trying to help you do. Be a better person and a more sane person. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being here.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to askjoannevictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's askjoannevictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.